I raised her.
Right.
So when I see her pre-FaceTime, she gets very emotional. And she doesn't want to talk to me. She's like, she does, but she wants to like not look at me.
All right. So,
but anyway, I don't want to take up your interview. We need to talk.
Yeah. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the Spicy Divorce Party Planner Show. You got to see a little bit behind the scenes. I'm your host, Spice. I'm today here with my lovely co-host, Delia Ann Mayshel.
Hello.
And today we have a lovely guest all the way from the East Coast.
Yay!
Carol Cohn.
Hi, guys.
Hi, welcome in, everyone.
Very happy to be here. I think what you do is so fabulous.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, we take our hats off to you too, because Carol Cohn has done a lot of work in her lifetime. And I have to look at my notes because there's just so many things that she's done. So let me begin. She's a baby boomer. And what city are you representing, Carol Cohn?
Well, I'm in the New York metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Very close. Go to the city all the time. I live in Montclair, New Jersey, which is a fabulous place. Very big, artsy-fartsy community. And they have a museum. And I ran the art school there for a number of years.
Wow.
Which was fun. And I started a summer camp there for kids. So I had children from 8 years old to spending all day at the museum taking art classes. So that was, and it's still going on. It's grown and grown and grown. And it's kind of, at this stage of my life, I am, first of all, I'm 70. So, yeah.
And still kicking butt. Decades of kicking butt.
When you're an artist, you're a little nuts. So I have all the excuses. But the school is thriving, and it's really my legacy that I created this program for them.
Yeah, that's really is amazing, because when you have a program and you're touching like hundreds of lives, the parents and the children, and shaping the future and helping have a hand in their future career, that's amazing.
Yeah. But I come from the world of advertising, and I know you guys had some curiosity about advertising. So advertising is an amazing business, but it is business.
Yes.
Okay, so if you think that advertising is something you want to explore, or you've always been curious about it, I can tell you that in the world of advertising, they hire all kinds of people with all kinds of skills. People who can draw. They're the creative. They have account people. Those are the people that you'll see wearing suits, who deal with the clients directly. They have people who work in media, so they negotiate with the networks, whether they're radio or television or cable, but they'll want you to give your advertising dollars to them. And that's a very interesting job, and you get to go to all these really cool conventions. And what's going to be on NBC next season, and all that kind of. And then there are, accountants and more things that you would find in a typical business, because advertising is business. But what's about it is such a mix of different skills and people. It's not like you're working with all engineers, or you're working with all. And then there's another piece to it, which is public relations, which is a component of advertising. So that you might like what you're doing, planning events for a client. And the other thing you could do is you could be on the client side. So as a client, you have to, the agency is going to sell their work to you, and you have to approve it and direct it. And then you, as the client, need to go to the big bosses at your company and say, here's what we're proposing to do in the spring for our advertising.
Mm.
So there's
Yeah, that's,
a lot of different things you could do in that world.
yeah, that's great. There's a lot of different avenues then if you want to get into that field.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sounds really beneficial, like to actors and performers and book
And
authors.
the talent. I mean, I've gone to hundreds of casting calls.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And then what I did was we also produced commercials for our clients. So and I spent many years working, 7 years working my first job in television
Mm-hmm.
for a company that started before cable was available other than in New York City.
Mm.
This was an over-the-air service, and we showed movies, and you would get an antenna on your roof. We would have it installed, and then it broadcast from the Empire State Building, and we had a television in Long Island, had one in Philadelphia. So we covered the whole metro area, and we had first-run movies, and we had kids shows, and all kinds of different programs. So I was responsible for all the advertising for that.
Wow.
That's a big feat. That's a huge feat.
Yeah.
It was really, it's so much fun. So much
It
fun.
sounds like it. You're like in everyone's household. That's a huge feat.
The biggest job I had and the craziest job is I was recruited by Home Shopping Network.
Oh.
So that was really nuts. Now, when I joined Home Shopping Network, they were only available in Florida.
Oh.
Started out only as a local and then regional service. And when I joined, they raised all this money. They did an IPO, stock, and they raised millions. And my job was to take them nationally. So what I had to do was supervise all the advertising to introduce them market by market. So we started in Florida, then we opened up New York, then we opened up Los Angeles, then we opened up Texas, the whole state of Texas, and Massachusetts. I mean, Home Shopping was everywhere. And so
oh my God, that's a huge job.
It was like being in the army. Okay. It was, because I worked 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you to understand the significance of it, when I joined the company that year, they had done $10 million in sales.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money.
No. Because by the end of the next year, once we rolled out this campaign, we did $750 million.
Oh my God.
And the following,
Jesus.
we hit $1 billion.
Oh my God, that is like the buku money over there. See, I knew Carol's been doing like the most work. Carol's the lady you want to know.
So you want to know why I waited until I was 35 until I got married? Because I had these crazy jobs.
Yeah, I could see that.
I had really big jobs, and it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Every day there was something crazy that happened because we were exploding.
Yeah, you seriously are.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's massive work.
It was. So and the reason that I got married, the other thing was I was living in Florida, and I'm in Clearwater, which is on the West Coast, and it's beautiful, but everybody there was retired.
Mm.
People who weren't over 60 were the people who worked at Home Shopping Network.
Oh, okay.
So I remember one time I went out to lunch with a vendor who did a lot of printing work for me, and everyone in the restaurant had blue hair. Started crying, and she said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm never going to find a boyfriend here."
Unless you want a blue-haired one.
Wow.
I'm late 20s. So, so I wrote a letter. I saw an article in Adweek, and I wrote a letter to the owner of the company. I said, listen, you have to get me out of here. And no one here. I said, I'm like 29 years old, and there's no man under 60 for me. Best part, 3 days, I this letter. So 3 days later, he calls me, the president of this company, which is a television production company. And he says, Carol, that is the funniest letter I ever read. I'm in Tampa, can you meet me at the airport? And we'll talk. So I made some excuse. I left the office. I went to the airport. I sat down with him. We talked for half an hour. He says, I'm hiring you. I'll move you back to New York. I know you got to get out of there.
Wow.
Good for you, Carol. She's like, I'm not. That was brilliant. She no fear at all. I love it, Carol.
This is my advice. Be fearless.
Yes. Yes.
Just fearless. If you're unhappy, get out of where you are.
Oh yeah. we agree with you 1000%.
Right? I mean, who needs to be miserable? Why did I got divorced because I wasn't happy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we got so many questions for you. That's just the intro. Okay, so after doing all this work, we know that she went on and you eventually got divorced and you created some fine artwork.
Well, what happened was we had a marriage counselor who I adored. She said, a lot of people, very thoughtful woman, a lot of people, when they're going through a divorce, find it best to keep a journal, deal with the emotional ups and downs of it, because no matter what, it's difficult. And you can write. Maybe you are into poetry. Maybe you want to, just keep a diary kind of thing, or maybe you want to draw. So my career had a lot to do with my communication skills and writing. I wasn't making art. I was writing, and I was supervising creative work. So I said, I don't want to write because that's just going to seem like another job. I don't want another job. I always draw, and I was the art editor of my high school yearbook and the high school newspaper, and I was a good artist. I did not major in art in college. I put myself through school. I could not afford to be an art major because I couldn't afford art supplies. But whatever. So anyway, I started making art about my divorce. And I had two very good friends who had just gone through their own divorces. I tell you, your girlfriends are your bedrocks.
Yes.
So, you would love this. So we used to play a game called Who Had the Worst Ex?
I have a card game. It's called My Ex. It sounds like that.
Really? Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, that's hysterical.
We should play.
I know one of these days we will.
This got us to talk about things that happened in our marriage that were, we would laugh. He'd say, oh my God, what a jerk. Oh. And for a long time, my friend Marianne had the worst husband. But then
So sad.
another friend of ours definitely had the worst husband. And I'll tell you what, because it's really disgusting. He was responsible for hiring, the pastor, the clergy that married them. And so they got married, and she had 3 children with it. And it turns out that he wasn't a legitimate official, and they weren't officially married.
That's a fear, because I know this other gentleman, he's going through a divorce, and
Right.
I don't know if it's a legit divorce or marriage or something, marriage. So that concerns me. If I ever get married, like, some of them purposely like sabotage so they don't have to be responsible. That is horrible. So I guess there is some men that will do that.
Well, he did.
Wow.
So for sure. So she is still wearing the mantle of the worst husband.
I would be so pissed off. Could you imagine?
Believe me.
Yeah.
So, but the brilliant news is she moved on. She met a fabulous guy, and she is married.
Thank goodness. Yeah, that's horrible. I heard some guy talking about that, and I didn't know if that was really legitimate, but I guess they do that. I thought maybe he's exaggerating, but after you telling that story, I guess they really do that. That's horrible. So you're deceived the whole time.
She was deceived all those years.
And betrayed. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
then if you're religious, you feel like you just had violated your religion as well. I'd be so mad.
Exactly. I mean, how many sins is that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I can't. That is yeah, he is pretty damn bad.
Yeah, yeah. My marriage wasn't like that at all. I think the stress of raising a child on the spectrum, my son is autistic.
Yeah.
He's Asperger's. And because of that, I had to find jobs where if there was a crisis, and there were plenty, and I had to leave work.
So true.
So you have to have a special boss who gives you that flexibility. So, my big career days were cut short, and it's fine because I loved raising my son. But, I took him to the therapist. I took him to the psychiatrist. Every week I had all these appointments. So, but he's 29 on his own and doing brilliantly. So, anyway, so I started, let's get back. I started doing art about my divorce, and I didn't want to share particular stories, but what my goal was to try to capture what I was feeling, the emotion.
Yes.
Because I felt that was very universal.
Yes.
With one of my divorced friends, and she's having a picture frame. And she says to the owner of the gallery, she says, my friend is doing this whole series of art about divorce. And so the owner said, oh, let me see it. And she looked at the work that I had created then. And I'd been doing it for maybe 6 months at this point. I want to do a show with you. And I was like, what? What do you
What?
about divorce? I said, great. So I was 3 years old, and I had my first art show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, to all of you, it's never too late to follow your passion.
That's right.
New life for yourself. Never.
I believe in that.
You got to follow your bliss, ladies. And men. Yep. And men. Now is the time. There is a writer named Paul Coelho who has this brilliant quote. And I'm going to mess it up a little bit. But basically he says, maybe your journey isn't about becoming who you are, but rather getting rid of what you're not to be who you were really meant to be.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Fabulous.
Yeah, we're gonna have to meditate on that. Have to really think about that.
It's true.
Carol taken on to adapt to your environment and the needs of others.
Yep. That is a great quote. That is a great take on it as well. Different perspective. That opens our eyes.
Yes. So when I show my work, it is always accompanied with my writing and quotes.
Okay.
That's very much a part of it. It's the context. So, when you say, we should probably look at some of my art if you guys are ready to do that.
Oh, yeah, we're ready. Let me pull it up.
Okay, so the first picture we're looking at is called Inspiration. What you're about to see. So when I was a little girl, I had these wonderful books of fairy tales.
Oh.
And I was reading fairy tales, but the thing that really struck me were the illustrations.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a beautiful fairy tale book, even contemporary, whether it's a Shel Silverstein Giving Tree or one of Maurice Sendak's books, which are so beautiful. But the old fairy tales, which have so many artists have done magnificent illustrations for them. And that really caught my fancy, that how beautiful these pictures were. And that was really when I was 10 years old, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to make beautiful things about stories.
That's gorgeous. We love this image.
So I did after my divorce work, and what I really about tonight, because I thought it would be fun, is together a collection and did exhibit. And people came to see the divorce show, and then I got other exhibits because of it. So I put together another body of work called Fairy Tales, Myth, and Other Artifacts.
And what was that about? The myth, the fairy tale myth?
But that was all. That was, yeah. So if, Cassandra, can you bring up the next picture? Yeah.
You know, you're talking about the fairy tales.
Yeah.
There's no fairy tales like the old-fashioned ones.
Right.
Back in the 1930s and 40s and on, from the 60s, even the 70s.
The story, I have an illustration here that relates to Cinderella. And Cinderella is actually a story that originated in China.
Really?
Yeah, like in the year 700. I mean, it's really old. And then, of course, you have, the Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen.
Right.
And you're talking about the 15th and 16th century. So fairy tales have been around forever. So, Cassandra, can you call up Prince Charming?
Okay.
So, as you can see, there is a prince on a horse with a lovely young maiden. And if you look at the horse, he's and the side eye, like, here we go again. Who's he going to seduce now? And the piece is Prince Charming's doll.
Oh, I see. That's a nice image.
Thank you. It's really, and so that is just my take on. I like to think of myself that at this point in my life, I'm the steed. And, I know enough now to avoid the Prince Charming. Because they're bad. They're bad news, ladies.
Oh.
All right. So the next image, there's a great story behind it. It's all about Red Riding.
Okay.
So that's entitled For All the Little Girls Who Enter the Wood Alone. And we all enter the wood alone. What do you guys know about love? I mean, really, what do we know about love? And all I knew was that I was supposed to find it.
That's
And
what we all think.
yeah,
Yeah.
that it's universal. So the story is, I was accepted into a show in Venice Beach called Startup Art Fair, which was and it basically, we were at a hotel, and our hotel rooms were our gallery, and it was 64 out of like 400 American artists applied. I was accepted, and I was like, oh my god! So it was an all weekend event, and hundreds of people came, and they came to my room and they looked at me, and which was just amazing. So Sunday night, the last night of the event, a woman came to my room, and it was like the show was going to close, right? It was like 10 to 7. And she walks in and she goes, oh, my husband is also here. And everyone's been telling me that I have to come and see her. So she came and I said, that's great. I was delirious at this point. And she immediately walked over to Little Red Riding Hood. And I told her, I said, the title is for all the little girls who enter the wood alone. And don't we all? And she burst crying.
Very.
And a lot of my work, if you go on Instagram and go to my divorce account, which is Carol's Divorce, and I'll show you how to get to that later. But you'll see that a lot of my images are very sad. And
yes, I've seen some. Yeah, I went on Instagram.
Ah, good. But some of them are also very funny because nothing's funnier than me. So, so Cinderella comes next.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Cinderella is I think, the dumbest of the dumb.
Aww.
Tell you why. But let me ask you, first of all, guys, what size shoes do you wear?
Like 7.5.
I wear a 6.5.
All right, so we are all in the 8s, but we're average. So how are we ever going to get a prince if it's based? Number one.
If what? What was that last part? If what?
How are we ever going to get a prince if it's based on the size of our feet?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. And you with a man all night long, would you expect him to be able to recognize your foot? No. He should see he sees your face.
Yes,
right?
That's true. So true. That's all they ever see. Oh, and body parts.
Exactly, and your boobs. So, I mean, it's so insulting, and so that's why I put a bag over her head.
Oh my God. I think that's what they wish. They could just have the bag over her head.
No.
Yeah. Well,
I think that is what they think sometimes.
But it's an insulting story to expect us to believe it, So, and there are a lot more. If you go on, as I say, if you go on Instagram, you'll see a lot more stories and things that I've made fun of. But those are two highlights. And what do we have next?
Okay, let's see here. What we got next? The watch.
Okay,
got the watch.
Is based on Alice in Wonderland. Now, White Rabbit, he says, I'm late. And he's pulling out his watch. Well, guess what? You are never late. Because the only time that really matters is now.
Okay.
And that's why my pocket watch says now on the dial.
Oh.
What? The past is over. The future is known.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The now is what you control.
Yes.
Right.
This is about connecting with the now and blazing through your life like a comet.
Mm.
Make the best of it. Shine the brightest. Make your mark. Give your life meaning. When we look up in the heavens and see the souls of our ancestors there, shine to them when you're there. Live
Beautiful.
meaning.
That's beautiful.
Be
Yeah.
fearless. Be fearless. Be who you were meant to be. You can think about how much you've learned after your divorce.
Yeah.
Use that wisdom to power your dream. Let it be the fuel for your life.
True.
There's a concept in Buddhism, and it's part of what has really fueled me, and that is of impermanence, that things alter. And we begin life as a seed, and then we grow into an amazing tree. And then we become, in our wisdom, in our senior years, we become the fruit of the tree. And we fall from the tree to feed the next generation and provide the seed.
Wow.
So,
That's nice.
so that is so important and has been how I'm leading my life.
Nice.
I have the wisdom, and I use my art to connect others.
It's nice.
As I said, I'm 70 and I'm burning like a comet.
We love it. You've been burning like a comet all your life, we can tell. Everything
Well,
you're and everything you smashed and all the doors you opened, yeah. That's your life motto right there.
Yes.
we are all victims of our time. So I grew up at a time where there was the notion of sexual harassment wasn't even in our vernacular.
Mm,
I mean, I can tell you, I've been chased around death.
I'm
I've
sure.
had, senior people in court companies then make passes at me inappropriately.
Yeah.
It's me too, writ large.
Yeah.
So, there was that. Living through that, I have pieces that relate to that. I have a drawing of all these women gathered together wearing their and so these are remarkable times, really remarkable times. And it's women are breaking glass ceilings everywhere.
Yes.
And I had to be smarter and funnier than any man to get where
Wow.
no one was opening doors for me.
Yes.
So I say, ladies, hop on board my comet. Come on.
I'm on.
Yes.
Hi.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah. Divorce party planners
Let's go.
definitely there.
We're on your comment right now.
Exactly. And the reality is, if it weren't for the support of my friends, and what you're doing is brilliant, because really where you're going to get your emotional strength from when you're going to have bad days,
Yeah.
have good days,
Like anything else.
like anything else in life. It's never easy, but find what makes you happy. Get it.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Find what makes you happy.
Yep. So, I think I've said all I want to say tonight.
Oh, good. And Carol, by the way, is giving away that still to anyone who follows her. So hopefully you guys will follow her on her
Oh.
Instagram.
Yes, I'm giving away a print, and what I'm going to do, I will get back to you at the end of let's say this first week in May, and a winner from the people who follow me, and you can and what you have to do is you follow me on either Instagram or Facebook, and send me a note. You send me a DM, a direct message that says "spicy divorce," and you will be entered in the contest.
Nice.
And I will then let you know who the winner is, and we'll get their information, and you will be sent it's a $50 value. It's a small print of riding through life in a comet. And
beautiful. Wow.
And it's probably going to be worth, like, I talked to a gentleman, he says, like, in 10, 20 years, you might as well add on a couple zeros. So it might be worth.
Well, it's true, because my already increased in value.
Yeah.
And I've been making art for 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, my journey has been blissful. And if it weren't for my divorce was a gift. Because if it weren't for my divorce, you and I would never be having this conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. Some of my friends, they're better off now.
I know I am.
Much better off now.
I know I am.
They were in some dark, miserable places that we'd never seen them.
You have to go through it. It's like a death.
Yeah, that's what they say. Going through it like a death.
It's one show, Cassandra. Facing the unknown, which is the one of the woman at the cave.
Okay, you got it.
And there's a particular reason a couple reasons why I wanted to show.
What is it? The picture?
It's a drawing that I did of a woman leaning over a rock and peering into a cave.
Oh, okay, let me pull up the right one.
This is peering into the cave, because a divorce, you don't know what's next. You're facing things that are unknown. And what I didn't know that someone shared with me, I think because of the holidays, Easter, and this was several years ago, they said, this reminds me of Mary at the resurrection when she to find his body in the cave. And I didn't think of that. It was more that you're entering the unknown. And there are a lot of we enter the unknown. Someone dies, you move, you take a new job. All of us have the experience of all of us face the unknown throughout our lives. And I shared with Cassandra that the director of the Steve Colbert Show, who is a divorced woman.
Oh, is she?
One of mine. I bought that print. Her office. How cool is that?
That's a great print, and I know. I think that is a very important part of divorce. Or a lot of women, well, and men can relate. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's such a scary time in your life.
Right.
You're like, how am I going to get through this? And for some, it even survival, like finances, like your whole life is changing.
It's huge. And Cassandra, I am willing to give, if anyone's interested in buying any of my prints, they typically range in price from $150 to $300, but I will give a 20% discount from one of your followers who's and wants to make a purchase. So,
yeah, that's a great deal. 20% off all of our viewers, for all of our people who went through
Yes.
or art collectors in general.
Yes.
Great
And
works. And like, you listen to Carol Cohn's story and all of her achievements.
You know, yeah, beautiful
many-
art.
How many Carol Cohns do we really know or met?
Yeah, there's only one. There's only one and only.
Yeah, that's the extraordinary woman that is talking to us right now.
Yes.
And we're getting to see
privileged
her artwork. Yeah. Extraordinary.
I'll tell you something, that they're all standard sizes, which means you can go to a Michael's or, you know, someplace that does ready frame. So you don't have to have custom framing unless you want to spend the money on it. But for, you know, for $40 to $60, you can have it framed.
Nice.
So, you know, and framing is like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us. And we know it's late for you. You're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, it was fun. It was absolutely
It was a pleasure.
Yes. And we can't wait to work with you some more. I think we're
Yes.
going to have an expo coming up. So we'd love for you to come out and be part of it.
That would be so much fun. And I love the West Coast.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you again, but this time in real life, in person.
Yeah, that would
Yes. Give
that
you a
would-
big hug.
Yes. Send our love to the East Coast and to your son.
Got it, guys.
All right.
Okay,
Have a good
bye-bye,
night. Thank you
Steve.
so much.
You're welcome. A pleasure.
Thank you,
you.
Miss Spice, as always.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dahlia. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank
Okay,
you
bye.
all.